Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Endicott Call Centers is one of the top call centers in the United States based out of Miami, Florida. And we will be interviewing Dennis Burlingham of Client Services. Dennis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking this time out. We would love to learn more about your role and what you do for Endicott. So, can you kind of share your role here at Endicott and what your daily tasks are like?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a member of the client services team at Endicott. Right now, I'm primarily responsible for a dedicated group of customers, but I tend to assist with other customer requests too. We just make sure that all of our customers are happy on a regular basis.
That's awesome. And how did you get into the call center service business?
Well, I'd been in the specialty retail management for probably more years than I'd like to think about,
Right.
and was looking to make a potential change, but
Mhm.
something that would still involve working with people, but maybe different than a retail environment. So I
Mhm.
had a friend that was working as a salesperson for a small boutique call center near my house. And I interviewed and was hired then in as an operations and workforce management person for that company.
Well, that sounds like a very smooth process. Congrats.
Thanks.
What is your philosophy in approaching client services?
It's something that I remind myself of on a daily basis. You just have to listen
Yeah,
and kind of understand the customer's viewpoint from all aspects of what they're trying to tell you. And then if they have any issues that you are looking to address, you need to do that professionally and concisely.
right. Yeah, I can only imagine some of the clients, they want to reach a person, they can't get a live person on the phone. It must be very frustrating. And I'm sure you can attest to that.
Sure, yeah.
So, how do you define excellent client services? Like, what does that entail exactly?
Well, I think that the goal is always to turn a customer into what we like to call an evangelist for your service.
Right.
Um, the best way to achieve that I found is that just you have to build from the very beginning a foundation of credibility and trust, and
Mhm.
then once again solve any issues that they have as efficiently and completely as possible. But along with that, understand their business
Mhm.
and be able to come back to them as a trusted advisor with recommendations that might streamline the whole process for them.
Yeah. As you were talking, I'm hearing also that it's also consistency of it, right? Is it's not like one day of excellent service here, and the next day you can't even answer two questions. So, can you speak a bit about that more?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, if
Yeah.
you start off honing the relationship and providing that superb level of service,
Right.
but then you maybe have a bad day, and that's what the customer is going to remember is that bad day, not the service that you provided previously that was up to their standards. So you really have to be consistent, as hard as that may be. You just have to make sure that you're providing the same high level of service on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's amazing that you just said, you could be consistent most of the time, but just that one blow up could
Hmm.
change the entire relationship, right?
Right.
And that could really do some damage.
Yeah, and like I said, that's what people remember. I mean, we're human
Right.
beings, and we tend to remember the worst about people, unfortunately, and so it's very key to keep that.
Very fragile, right?
It is, yeah.
So how do you establish and build long-term client relationships?
Um, well, once again, it starts from the very beginning, and you have to build credibility,
Yeah,
and make sure that the customer is bought in with you as their viewed face of the company.
right.
Um, Keep it professional, keep it courteous, keep it friendly, but walk a fine line with that because you don't want, customers don't have to necessarily be your friends,
Right.
but you can be professionally friendly, I guess, and that helps to build that rapport and kind of establish yourself as that trusted advisor that they're going to go to on a regular basis.
Can you share some client service challenges and how you resolve them?
I very recently had an interaction with a medical provider, and
Yeah.
she came to me with some specific concerns about how messages were being relayed to her and her other provider colleagues. There'd been some errors that she was concerned about, and we'd reached out to the incorrect doctors for specific practices. And what proved to be really profound with her is that I just did a screen sharing session and walked her through exactly what occurred with those messages and why the agent maybe took an incorrect step. And that led us to kind of dig into the way the account was set up and come up with some maybe some better ways to set up the account in order to avoid any future errors. I then told her that, once we kind of agreed on a solution, what I would be doing, and then kept her up to date with any status of how that implementation of the solution was going. And then already assured her that I would be following up with her on a regular basis just to make sure that she was still satisfied with the results. And if anything else came up that we needed to address, we would just have a standing meeting and address anything during those meetings.
That's amazing that you guys actually hand guided her. I'm sure she appreciated that kind of service from you.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the kind of service we tend to get anymore, and so
I know, right?
that's what. Yeah, it's unfortunately become the exception, not the rule, which is kind of sad for any kind of service
Yeah.
industry. So yeah, that's what we like to pride ourselves at Endicott, at kind of giving that plus service above and
Well,
beyond.
yeah, I mean, it's almost like, the times that I've called customer service, like not through Endicott, but just, as a general example, it's almost like you call, it's like they want to get you off the phone as quickly as possible. And you're there to ask for help. And so I think people very much value the level of client service, especially excellent VIP level. It's a very appreciated gesture if you can just take the time to accommodate like that.
And in the business that I'm in, if
Yeah,
you're talking about calling other service providers just as a
right.
consumer, I will always call out good service if I receive it, just because it is so rare, and I don't want that person. I know how hard these people are working, and if they're giving good service, they need to be recognized for that, because that's very important.
That's wonderful. So, Dennis, how do you handle a customer complaint and what do you do to establish customer loyalty? I know you had already shared that, but can you elaborate a little more if there's another experience that you had and that kind of helped the customer loyalty?
But I think that once you listen to the person and kind of they feel that you're bought into what they're saying, and you're not just going through the motions of listening to them, but
Right,
you actually just interacting with them on a real basis and fully understanding their concerns. The solution needs to come as well, and that's what's going to be, kind of the deliverable that you give them. Once again, the solution has to be consistent and
correct.
not something that's going to fail going forward, because once again, that bad experience is the one they're going to remember, not all the work you did to resolve their problem in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think, if you consistently can be responsive and answer any issue they have with a valid solution, I think that's what's going to build that loyalty in the
Right.
long run. Yeah.
Well, this kind of ties into my next question, which is, what would you say are the top three attributes of a successful customer relationship? And, the one thing that I'm hearing a lot from you is the consistency of the service. Can you maybe share two other attributes that you think are good for customer relations?
Well, I'm going to sound redundant once again, but just establishing that trust and credibility from the very beginning, and
Right.
then working really, really diligently to maintain it throughout the life of the customer relationship.
Mhm.
Um, and then the continuity. I mean,
Right.
consistency and continuity kind of walk hand in hand with making sure that you're not just leaving them to twist in the wind, that you're checking in with them on a regular basis just to make sure things are good, and not waiting for them to come knocking at your door with a complaint or a concern that might actually lead to them churning out of your business.
So it sounds like trust, credibility, and consistency.
Consistency, yeah, that's primarily the primary word that I would use on a regular basis.
Wonderful. Why is having dedicated client services important to a brand?
Well, once again, you you have to establish that trusted advisor role, but I think customers tend to attach themselves to somebody that they can feel comfortable with and develop that business relationship with. And so, um, if everybody's busy, of course, and so if you have someone that you can reach out to and know that they're going to respond in a really efficient and timely manner and address whatever issue you may have at that moment, I think that is something that it holds a huge amount of value.
Yeah. Also, from other interviews that I've done is, what I've learned about dedicated versus shared is, the dedicated, because it's a dedicated group of, call agents. It just sounds like they know you so well that you can't anticipate what they need, and also they know who you are, so it's like you start understanding their language, their culture, their mindset, and then your the focused attention, I feel like, is what's so critical as well when it's dedicated.
Yeah, I would agree. And some of our tenured agents have been with the company so long that they also have relationships because they're dealing with these on-call people and medical providers, but also an electrician on call or HVAC on call. They deal with them on a daily basis, and so they tend to establish really good relationships. And they say, oh, hey Pete, how are you? I love speaking to you. Thanks for giving us a call, letting us know that your on-call has changed or phone number's changed. And so that's kind of key with developing, relationships, even with the people who are actually taking the calls on a regular basis.
Right. How do you make a customer feel like a VIP? I think everyone wants to feel like a VIP, right? So is there
Well, I
something
mean,
that you do specifically?
I think, listening to them and understanding what their expectations are and then surpassing them on a regular basis, and consistently, once again, using the consistent word, just making sure that they are delighted on a regular basis with any kind of interaction you have with them.
Well, we've come to a close of the interview. Do you have any last message for the world? Anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I hate to sound all new agey and stuff, but
No, no, you're good, Dennis. Go for it.
um, well, it's kind of a well-known idea, but I like as a person and
Right.
also a professional, I try to approach everything and everyone with one primary goal and just leave the world, or actually for this discussion's sake, a customer interaction better than when you found it.
Right.
Um, that can just be, you can just show kindness and concern for someone's well-being, or in a customer scenario, you can just work with them to resolve their ongoing concern and make sure that they are pleased with the results. And to me, that's is something that's so profound and powerful that it's once again very invaluable.
That's wonderful. It's nice for the audience to hear a bit of your mindset and your philosophy and caring for other people. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you for your time, for interviewing with us. And where can the audience find you? What is your website URL?
That is EndicottCallCenters.com.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Dennis. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Have a great day.